Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection. We've got, as always, in the co-captain's chair, Mr. Simon Bray from Lancashire. I keep seeing Lancashire written all over the place now and things I've been reading lately. I'm like, interesting. I never heard of this place in a million years other than when I used to send stuff to Simon through the mail. But now all of a sudden I'm seeing Lancashire all over the place. Pretty popular place. And of course, from Perth, Steven Reid. What's happening, gentlemen? How are you?
No, that's not a place you'll see often, is it?
No, yeah, I very rarely see that mentioned, other than when I'm putting things in a box to take down to the post office to send to you. Right, that's the only time. Yeah. So today we've got a little rant, which kind of the genesis of this came about on a conversation that the three of us had before last week's episode, and we figured we could probably squeeze a full episode out of this. So this is kind of the three of us bitching a little bit about things that happen at concerts and might be a couple of recent events that have happened. So I'm gonna have Steven kick it. Oh, before we do, I'm really boring today. I am just drinking some black raspberry green tea. Yeah, I've got a concert to go to in an hour, so I can't be drinking, before while we're taping. I know I got to be responsible. It's what happens when you get to be my age. You have to kind of, think about things like that. But I'm sure you gentlemen have nowhere to go. So what do you got?
Actually, no one speaks to us, Simon, do they?
Oh, yeah. Wow, I'm going nowhere fast,
Well, at least you're getting there quicker than I will. That's it. Well, now that I've been put in my place, what am I drinking? Well, I've pulled a Simon. That's what I've done. So I've got a Belhaven Brewery Scottish Oat Stout. Okay, and it's 7%, but it's a very small bottle. So I've also got a backup. And what I did for my backup is I've gone and raided the cupboard. What is there? What can we get? Because I'm not using two good ones in the one show. So I've got a Christmas present. That's what I've got, but it wasn't my Christmas present. It was to somebody else. And they went, Stephen will like this. So I've got a Peaky Blinders.
Oh.
A Peaky Blinders Black IPA from, I think it's Sadler's. Sadler's is who it's from.
Just
in
hold that thought.
Okay. So
can you put both bottles next to each other? I want to see the size difference there, because that one bottle looked, it's not that much different. It looked really small on your shoulder.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Oh, it's a
depth. As they say, here's a UK-ism for them. As they say in Father Ted, no, this one's small. This one's far away.
Yeah, it's the depth thing. Yeah. I will say, have you guys noticed that they put oat in everything nowadays?
Yes.
Oat absolutely. Stout, oat shampoo, oat hand cream. I've just bought Oat House granola. It's called granola butter. It's like peanut butter, but it's called granola butter. It's made with oats and all sorts of other things. It's kind of strange. It's got like really high glowing reviews on CNN.com, and I of course saw a little ad on Facebook, so I said I'll order some of that. And I'm trying to figure out if I like it or not. But yeah, everywhere you look, oat this, oat that. It's crazy. But I do like oat in stout is very good, I think.
Yes, I do too. I'll find out if I like this one. I've never tasted it before, so we'll see. What did you run off for, Simon?
Well, initially, I'm the other week, when I said I went down south and I had a Dark Revolution beer, and I believe I mispronounced the name of Salisbury incorrectly. So I thought I'd pull it. Salisbury's about five miles down the road from me. So Salisbury. I've got a West Coast IPA from the Dark Revolution Brewery again, because I've got what can only be described as a really fucking big box of beer from them. Yeah, so I'm going to have to work my way through. That looks very sexy, Stephen. But I wasn't going to do this, but I am, because I got this gift. And it's a Peaky Blinders thing. So we could do it together afterward. This one's Shelby, or whatever Shelby is. It's an IPA. I have not once, not ever watched Peaky Blinders. So
No, neither have I. No, no.
Thanks for
See,
the gift,
yours looks
whoever.
official.
Sorry?
Yours looks official. Yours looks like the guy from the show,
Yeah.
whereas mine just looks like three randomers.
Oh, they look like maybe actual Peaky Blinders, whereas he's just a
Yeah.
guy from the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is probably because they've struggled to copyright the name Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
So I got to admit, I love the name Peaky Blinders. I think it's awesome. I don't have a fucking clue who Peaky Blinders is.
Yeah. There are people spooling through this shit right now. Really are, you know.
It's a TV show here in the UK. I would imagine there will be people aware of it further afield. It's very popular. I haven't seen any of it whatsoever. Don't quite know where it's set, other than in times where people look like this. It would appear to be quite violent, and the Peaky Blinders, I think, is reference to the hat.
Oh, is it not set in the Midlands? Because Sadler's are from the Midlands, aren't they?
Yes, it is set in the Midlands, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's that kind of way. But yeah, somebody can educate us down below about the actual show itself. All I know is that I've got a bottle of beer here to try that may or may not be good. I don't know, but we'll find out. This, on the other hand, my Belhaven, that's the real deal. That's fantastic.
I feel left out. I'll have to indulge next week. I promise next week I won't go anywhere so I can have a beer with you fellas.
Stop having a life, Pete. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not used to this. I went 2 years without going anywhere, and all of a sudden, like once or twice a week, I have somewhere to go now. I don't know how to handle this. You know, I have to get in the car and drive somewhere and spend more than 2 hours somewhere. I'm used to going to the store for 10 minutes and running out, you know, and coming back home. Now it's like, wow.
That's what I did on Friday, the 4th of March. Okay, that's what I did. Because yes, gigs are a thing now again. That's what I did. I've done a few since lockdown unlocked, and then relocked, and then unlocked, and whatever else has happened. And we went to see, me and my younger daughters went to see a young band called Yonica. Won't be everyone's taste from the SOT church. However, they were great, really good. They're aggressive, they're modern, really good vibe about them, excellent band. And it was in the Glasgow Garage, which is an excellent little venue. Great sound, excellent atmosphere. I could go back and count my list, but that would upset Simon, so I haven't. But I could make a number up and you would just believe me. Yeah, I've seen 36 shows there. Okay, I've seen a lot of shows at the Garage, a lot. It must be in around there. It's one of those ones that I've probably seen more bands there than most other places. However, it's not always the friendliest of venues. Scotland has a reputation for being a bit wild, you know. We're all a bit crazy. We all like an awful lot of this, okay? But if you go to a gig in Glasgow, you'll find that most places now have a curfew. Okay, most places in this capital of rock and roll, bands got to be off by 10. Okay, so we find quite often that on bills where there's a few bands, we don't get all the bands. Because obviously doors only open at a certain time, because they've got to get the venue ready, they've got to get all the bands in, they've got to set up the sound and the stage, they've got to have staff there, people have got to get from work to the venue, all that kind of thing. So realistically, doors open at 7. Everyone's got to be out by 10. So you've got 3 hours to squeeze everything in. So we turned up early for Yonica, okay, nice and early. By nice and early, I mean about 7:05, because I'm old, okay? I don't want to queue for 3 weeks. And it's a young person's gig. We reckoned, looking around the crowd, I was the second oldest person there, okay? All right, it was, I was also maybe quite tall, but there you go. But we went to the merch stand beforehand. I mean, you'll gather from all of the shirts that I like a bit of merch. And my kids like a bit of merch too. So we went in and we had a chat with the guys at the merch stall. And they were like, really sorry, chaps, it's cash only. And we're like, never carry cash. So like, we can't get the card machine connected, so maybe we'll have more luck later on. They said, well, that's fine. You know, we'll come and we'll see you at the end. So we go up, get ourselves right at the front, not right in the middle, but off to the side. Watched 2 bands who were both excellent. Had a fantastic night, really good. if you like a bit of modern metal, rock, not so much metal, go and see Ionica. Excellent band, especially live. So we came down, they did their bit because they were off by 4 minutes to 10. So they had not, broken curfew and various things, as I've seen other bands kind of do. Some had the power pulled, some were, had to cut a song from their set. I've seen a variety of different things to make this 10 o'clock. Now, the way the garage is set up, you come in at street level, up a set of stairs, there's a kind of balcony area or a kind of platform level where the ticket office is. And there's a little room off to the side with merch, and then you got up another set of stairs to get into the actual main hall itself. So we're standing in this little platform just outside the merch room. Now, the merch room is quite big. You could probably, on a night out, you could probably have a couple hundred people in there. But no, the queue is there and it's up the stairs. So we were in the queue. By the time we got from the front down to the queue, 2 or 3 minutes after 10. Not an awful long time to get there. And the queue slowly but surely worked its way through. And then security come out and shout, "Merch will be closed in 5 minutes." And you're like, well, why are you shouting that to us? We can't do anything. We're just standing in the queue. I can't, surge to the front. That's not what they want to happen. There's 20, 30 people behind us in the queue, So we get literally to the door of this room and the door gets shut. That's that, merch is finished, guys. And we're like, but we've just queued for the last 10, 15 minutes here now to get this far. It's like, yeah, but at 10 o'clock, that's curfew. Now, curfew is 10 o'clock so that they can put another event on. So they can get 2 entry fees out of 2 different audiences for the one night.
It has nothing to do with the whole venue being closed.
No. It's so they can clear you out, tidy it up,
bring the next crowd,
big punters in. So we've already paid. So if you'll pardon my language, we don't matter a fuck now, because they took my money weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm dirt now. So there's 4 or 5 big burly guys inside, but that's not who they send out to speak to us. They send out the lady to speak to us. Doesn't really matter who, but I would imagine that they expect less confrontation from that, which is fair enough. I've worked in a service industry most of my life. I've dealt with customers most of my life. It can be difficult, it can be easy, it can be great fun. But I would like to think that what it has taught me is it's usually not their fault. Now, I appreciate it also wasn't the security's fault. They're not setting the rules, but it was the manner in which they were enforced. We were spoken to rudely. There was absolutely no need for the way that it worked out. And I explained to the lady that shut the door in our face, literally in our face. We even turned up early. We got here early to make sure that we could do this before the show, but we couldn't get served. Well, that's nothing to do with us. We've asked her to hurry up. There's one woman on the merch all on her own. Right? I was like, well, what is she meant to do? I says, but, we've had a great night. We've queued here. You've got our money. We just want to get in and buy a t-shirt or a hoodie or a hat or whatever it was. And she went, well, and this is the bit that really got under my skin, because I was on the verge of turning away at this stage, because you think, well, do you know what? I'm on a loser here. Nothing that I can say will change this. And she went, well, take it up with the promoter then. And that annoyed me, because nobody likes getting treated like shit. But lying to me as well, well, that there's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. So I turned back and I said, it's absolutely nothing to do with the promoter. It's to do with that. It's to do with money. It's to do with getting more people in the door. You don't give a fuck about us now. Get us out. It's just about getting us out. And that's all it was. Now, what upset me was, well, yeah, I wanted a t-shirt. It's not really, life-shattering. It hasn't changed my life. With hindsight, did it ruin the night? No. Here I am grumbling about it. So it made an impact on the night. It's one of the things I'll take away from that show, but it didn't ruin the night. Wasn't the band's fault. But one, the band were deprived of, I would reckon, 4 figures in revenue for the night. And that's realistically how they're making their money. I mean, does it even give me a price on these tickets now? £17 for the ticket. It's not exactly a king's ransom. So, 2 bands on the bill. But that was a separate room. The merch is in a separate room. They could easily have got the 20 or 30 people that hadn't been served and said, right, guys, we're going to be really quick here, but what we'll do is we'll take you guys into the room, we'll shut this door.
Yeah, everybody who's online gets to buy whatever they want to buy.
Absolutely. Right. And that's all it would have taken. And 20 minutes to half an hour, and it would have been cleared, and they could have got the rest of the venue in the order that they needed it for, and just worked half an hour behind on that room, because all it would have taken was a little bit of thought, a little bit of care, and a little bit of customer service to actually have us leave the venue and go, do you know what? That was amazing. How good were they? They looked after us there. But the difference is we actually walked out. And the first thing we did when we walked out wasn't say, oh man, weren't those bands brilliant? We did in the car on the way home because we kind of got over it by that stage. But the three of us got outside and went, oh, can you believe that? How annoying is that?
It's deflating, right? So that big high you guys are having from seeing the band,
Yeah.
and now the pin comes out.
Yeah, and the support band were even in the room. You could see them kind of standing, hoping to, maybe pick up some new fans, maybe sell some CDs, chat to people that might want to follow them on social media, or get on their Spotify or whatever it may be. And they were deprived as well. They were actually getting kind of held back by the security, not physically pushing them in the way, but it was clear that the security were kind of going, don't get involved here, guys, because we've not got time for you to interact with the people.
Yeah.
It's not like that's what everyone's come for. And it really it upset me. And as you do in this day and age, I'm not on Facebook, but I am on Twitter all the damn time. So I tweeted the band just to say, the venue treated us really poorly tonight and deprived you guys of a bit of revenue. Now, they were aware of it by that stage, because obviously whoever was behind the merch stall for them will have gone and said, we got shot on tonight.
Yeah.
So they were aware. I don't think it's quite happened yet, but they're actually making more merchandise to put up on the site for the tour for people who specifically couldn't get stuff that they wanted to get on the night, because they sold out as the tour went on, which I would imagine would have been their aim. They didn't want to come home with lots of stuff. So they've really gone, above and beyond. They put a thing on their Instagram just saying how sorry they were and how upset they were and how pissed off they were with the venue. And I did the same to the garage, and I kept it polite. I was forceful because I was angry, but I kept it polite and just said that we were really disappointed and how much we'd been let down and how poorly we'd been treated, and the fact that we'd been lied to. And here we are. Well, that was the 4th of March. It's now the 24th that we're recording this. 20 days later, nothing. Not a peep. They couldn't care less. Could not care less. And the garage is quite notorious for it. If you're maybe speaking to people you haven't seen at a gig, but you spot them on your way out, they're forcing you out the door. And it's all just to get more paying punters in. As a gig goer, because you're in first, you're treated like garbage at the end of the show. Get out. We've got your money now. No need for you to be here. Out you go. They're not the only venue in Glasgow that does it, because it's quite a thing in Glasgow, and it appears to be more of a Scottish thing and more of a Glasgow thing than anywhere else. But it's caught on. There are a few venues now that do this. Let's get these guys in, take their money, get them out as quick as we possibly can so that we can fill it again. And I do understand that venues have been through a really hard time. And any venue that's made it through the pandemic, I take my hat off to them. And I'm delighted that they have, because they haven't all made it through. And anyone that's willing to put bands on at this stage, that's fantastic, because I want to see bands. I want as many bands to be touring and making money and surviving as they can. But this is not a new thing. This has been happening in Glasgow for years. This has nothing to do with venues making ends meet because of the tough times that they've been through in the last couple of years. This is a policy that they do realistically every night of the week. And have
You want people to come back, right? People are not going to want to come back. They get treated like that. And it's interesting. Some places here, I don't know like what all the facts are behind it, but I know there are some venues here in the States that do get a small percentage of the merch sales. So you would think it would behoove them to keep those rooms open to get as much as they possibly can.
Yeah. Now that's actually something I hadn't thought about for tonight, because there is a venue, the Academy in Glasgow. They have merchandise staff. So they force the bands to use their staff, and they take 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bands don't get any choice. You sell your merchandise here, you either put your prices up or you lose money on it.
Yeah.
So the only one that I can guarantee it happened with was Marillion. They actually moved their show. I think they rescheduled it for a later date because they couldn't get a venue of a similar sort of size. Because there's not a huge amount of venues in Glasgow or Scotland, realistically, that can house bands of this sort of size. So Marillion just refused. We don't need you to sell this for us. Right. We've got someone that actually comes and we've paid them to do the whole tour. So there's another bit of a rant that I hadn't even anticipated for tonight.
Yeah,
So,
like I know, like here in New York and New York City specifically, you know, the big places like, you know, Madison Square Garden and Beacon Theater and Giant Stadium, Meadowlands. I mean, you have people, that's what they do. They're not employed by the bands. They're merch people. That's what they do. Just like when you go to a ball game and the hot dog guy and the guy selling the beer, right? They work for the venue, for the stadium. So yeah. So the bands probably have to pay a certain percentage of total sales to them. So
yeah. So that was where this show came from. That was my initial rant, because it's got under my skin. It really annoyed me as a paying customer. When you go to any event, could you imagine if you went to the Lion King, you know, or any kind of organised theatre event, or a live sports event, and at the end of it, somebody came and shouted at you, "Here, right, time to go. Out you get." No. So why is it any different for us just because we're going to see rock music? Why should we be treated like garbage? Do you know, why not say the curfew's 10 and give themselves an extra 20 minutes?
yeah. Yeah, and
are they going to get less custom for getting to the club night if it starts 20 minutes later? I wouldn't have thought so.
Club night's still a thing?
Well, or whatever the youth are doing these days.
Don't all the young people just like preload and like then go out about 5 o'clock in the morning? Get absolutely wankered. That
does seem to be a thing, but
they don't go into clubs.
Well, the garage thing they do.
Not to my knowledge.
I mean, to be fair, the garage do share lots of pictures of what I would class as children at these events. So they clearly have an audience in. I couldn't imagine spending my evening in what is just a cavernous room. But they do. It's a nice venue. And that's the thing. Actually, I've had lots of great nights at the garage. It is actually a favourite venue of mine in terms of seeing a band and listening to a band. The sound is always good. There's always a great atmosphere. If the band isn't good in the garage, it's usually the band's fault because it's nothing to do with the venue. It's a really good venue. It's just a shame that they treat their paying guests quite poorly at the end, and that's the worst that I've been treated at the end.
And it's not a good time to do that because obviously many of us have been without this aspect of our lives for like 2 years, right? So now that we're, like we talked about at the beginning, we're actually going out and going to see live music again. And then to have that happen like right off the bat when you're just starting to go back into the swing of things, it's a little disheartening.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Simon, how about you? What kind of issues have you come across?
Well, I just made this list of things that just like shits and giggles, but now you've gone down the depressing route. So I thought, fuck it, let's go along with it. Yeah. Me and Boy the Elder, we once had that kind of you've got to get out here kind of thing. It was at Club Academy in Manchester. That's Club Academy in Manchester. Firstly, we all remember, do we not, that's got columns. And venues,
oh, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Venues with columns suck. But on that particular night, it really wasn't a problem because we went to see Skinny Molly, the Skinny spin-off thing. And at the end, security did that whole thing, you've got to get out, it's got to get out. Well, there were 16 of us there in this venue that holds about 500 people, but they still insisted on kicking us out. And like Mike Estes from Skinny Molly actually came into the bar and spoke to us for a while because, it was such a shitty thing to do, kicking quite literally, tens of people out. How do these people sleep at night, I ask you? Eh? Yeah. But
soundly, they don't care.
They don't care.
Able to get the merch though, because that's the kind of guy that I am, Stephen. Mainly because there was no queue whatsoever.
You were the queue, right?
Yeah. I mean, actually. Okay, I'm now not going to be able to do Skinny Molly, but I actually got binned off by Jay Johnson, the guitarist who used to be in Blackfoot. He almost completely blanked me because I've had a couple of drinks. You're Jay Johnson. He went, yeah, I've got to talk to this guy in a wheelchair. You were in the Rossington band and you're in Blackfoot, and now you told me to fuck off, Rachel. there's only 15 other people here. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Couple of things. I'll do a couple more. If I've got loads more, as you know. Yeah. Recently, I went to see the Stranglers, Pete, because I know you're a fan. I went to see the Stranglers at Manchester Apollo, and it's the first time I've been there for ages. I don't know if you noticed, there's been a worldwide pandemic on. Pulled up into the car park. I've no idea what I was expecting, but it used to be a fiver. Anyway, it's leapt up to a tenner at this point. But before I could complain, or before anybody could complain, as he was giving you change back, he actually gave you a leaflet that said, "It's gone up to £10. If you don't like it, fuck off somewhere else."
Is that was after you'd paid?
Well, as I was paying, you know what I mean? Because well, once you're kind of there and there's other cars behind you, you've kind of got to go, yeah.
Gotta fork it over, right? Yep.
Yeah, going to go like a bit of a dick if I try and reverse out now, why not? But yeah, I actually thought I was quite amusing and not terrible for Manchester either. But if you don't like it, find somewhere else. Well, do you know what? I've parked in other places in that part of Manchester, and I've not had as much car when I get back as I did when I left it. You know what I'm saying? So I was happy to shell over or relatively happy to shell over the tenner. So that, just a sign of Sunak's Britain, as far as I'm concerned. Price has been doubled since the last time I went, and also at that very, very same gig. I don't know about you, but I get weirded out by people canoodling at gigs. Yeah, so that's the face I'm looking for. Do that. There you go. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, do these people not have homes? Why would you go to a venue with 3,500 people to virtually copulate? Why would you do that? But the really weird thing about this is there was this couple in front of us and another person. So there's, three of them. And I thought to myself, oh, that's nice. He's brought his mum and dad out to sit strong. They must be long-term fans, and he's just coming along with his fossil. But then he kind of slipped his arm around his mum and started, oh yeah. Yeah. So the canoodling, as far as I could see, was this dude and his mum.
Hey, what gig was this?
Was it the Stranglers? It was a few weeks ago.
I ain't ever going to one of those shows.
No, but anyway, canoodling in general.
I mean, for a start, my mum doesn't like the Stranglers.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no, my mum's dead, so there you go. I went there, and she didn't mind the Stranglers, to be fair. She didn't mind Queen either, but there we go. Yeah, so I mean, I will cede the court to other people if you want for the time being. I've got lots more.
Lots more. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where to start here. I don't know whether to complain about the price of tickets nowadays, or actually, no, there's something I do want to. Simon, you mentioned the parking thing. I've got a couple bones to pick with a couple of places. So there's a place in Poughkeepsie called the Chance. I think we've talked about the Chance a couple times on this channel over the years. They recently, again, 2 years without seeing shows, right? So started going to the Chance again. I've been there like 3 times in the past month and a half or something. And all of a sudden now I drive to Poughkeepsie and I go to pull into the Chance parking lot, and the parking lot is half the size. They built like a apartment building in the back half of the parking lot, and they now have parking space specifically for people who live in that apartment building. So as you can imagine, there's now a lot less places to park for people who want to go to the Chance. Now I realize that didn't mean shit over the last 2 years because nobody was going to shows at the Chance because there was a pandemic going on, right? So I've been to a couple shows there that have been fairly well attended, and I get there well in advance before the headliners go on, and I pull in, and there ain't no parking anywhere. I had to park for Overkill a couple of weeks ago. I had to park like 10 blocks away. And this is Poughkeepsie, New York. Some parts are not the greatest places to be walking around at. 9 o'clock at night, by yourself, right? So, but I did it anyway. So I'm thinking, I'm like, well, what is the city of Poughkeepsie going to do if the chance continues to pack people in? And they're now charging for parking in the Chance parking lot. They never used to do that. They did way back in the day. They had like a little booth there, and a guy would sit in the booth. You'd pull in and be like, that's $5 to park for the show. But they haven't done that in years. It's been free parking. So you go there, you park for free, go to the show, leave, go home. Now they cut the lot in half, and now you have to, when you park there, you have to go over to a stupid machine, and you got to punch in your license plate number and pay $3 or $6, whatever it is, for the amount of time that you're there. So it's now a revenue stream for them, right? So you would think they would want to have enough parking to accommodate. And if you're going to draw 5, 6, 7, 800 people at the Chance, you need spots for them. And think about, if, let's say, you get 300 cars out of the 600 people that show up to see the show, you're making some nice cash for that evening, right? But no, you're actually not, because you cut the parking lot in half, and now half those people have to go park somewhere else, probably for free, because after 6, you don't have to pay for parking on the street of Poughkeepsie. So does this whole scenario make any sense at all to anybody? No, but as my buddy Chris Allo has said, the city of Poughkeepsie probably doesn't give a shit about what the Chance wants to do or not to do. But I think at this point, it doesn't even matter about the Chance. It's like, it's about the city wanting to make money for the city of Poughkeepsie. But they don't seem to care, because I guarantee you, I mean, the apartment complex that's now that's in the back of the Chance probably charges their tenants money to park in their spots, right? So it's just really crazy. And, and then the opposite end of this is, and I'm going next week to see Judas Priest at a pretty big venue in New Jersey. Now the big places here in the New York area, you want, especially New Jersey is notorious for this. You want to go to a, like a hockey arena or a football arena to see a concert, and you want to park on the premises, you're probably paying close to what you paid for the ticket to go to the show. Like $50 to park in, like, MetLife Stadium, which is where the football stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Like $50 to park in their lot. And like Simon said before, if you were to complain about that, they will tell you to turn around and go park somewhere else. But you can't, because MetLife Stadium is surrounded by highways and all sorts of weird shit. There's no other place to park. So you're going to pay $100 for the ticket to whatever the hell you're going to see. You're paying $50 to park, plus the gas, plus the tolls. And if, God forbid, you want to eat or drink on the inside, because you're going to pay $13 for a shitty beer, not something delicious like Steven is pouring right there. You're going to pay $40 for a shirt if you chose to buy one. You're going to pay $15 for a hot dog or some equally crappy piece of food, whatever. And so all of a sudden now, for one person to go to a big band concert at one of these big arenas, you're probably going to pay $200 at minimum. Unless you go really cheap and you buy nosebleed tickets for all the way 10 miles up, where you can't even see anything bigger than this on the stage. But even that's probably going to run you $75. So yeah, it's just that it's out of control. And everybody's been talking on the internet over the last couple of weeks about, the Porcupine Tree prices. Porcupine Tree announced all these tour dates. And, if you want to get a decent seat to Porcupine Tree, $150, $200. If you want nosebleed seats somewhere, that's still going to cost you $60, $70, $80. And it's like, and they're playing these like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 seat arenas. And like, those places charge money to go see shows. So it's like, is Porcupine Tree big enough to play some of these places at these prices? Because a lot of fans are like, I want to see him, but I'm not spending that kind of money. I don't need to see him that bad. So I don't know. It's like, personally for me, because I've got the olds, I much prefer going to a place that holds 1,000, maybe 1,500, and has comfy seats that are not all on top of each other. Because the idea of going to a small place, and I still do it, but it drives me crazy, where you got to stand for 4 hours like this with sweaty, stinky people in the middle of a pandemic and sit through 4, 5, 6 bands. I don't have any interest in that anymore. I don't. So I don't know. There's my rant for the day.
That would cut out half the gigs I go to then. Quarters of the gigs I go to, because nobody goes to see the bands that I go to see. It's interesting you talking about the parking situation, it's actually reminded me of a story that I may or may not have brought up in a gig show in the future that we maybe do, but I'll mention it now because, yeah, parking and paying for it for a gig, it's a bugbear of mine as well, and it is expensive. And if I go to the Hydro or the Pie, as it's known, the Pie, because it looks like a big pie in Glasgow, or the Armadillo, as I mentioned the other week, or the exhibition centre. Now we now walk 15 minutes to get there to not pay the exorbitant amount that they want to charge you, to then queue for 3 weeks to get out in your car. That's the bit that really upsets me. We paid,
Yep.
and then you don't go home till 2 o'clock in the morning because you paid to park and have your car safe. However, on the flip side, if you go to the legendary Glasgow Barrowland, okay, which is a great venue, that's a great venue, and it is genuinely legendary. The actual rant that I've thought about for that place is the fact that what they love to do, they love to put on, say, a 3-band bill and say 7 o'clock. So you queue because you think, you know what, that first band, I like them, I want to see them. They open the door at 7. The band goes on at 7. By the time you've queued and got in, basically, thank you, good night. Oh man, that pisses me off.
I almost wish they did that here, because then I would get there 7:15 or 6:30 and be ready to go. Here they tell you 7 o'clock, and you get there at right around 7 o'clock because you want to catch the first band, and then you're like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you wait, and then the whole evening gets pushed back, and you're like, the fuck did I get here so early for, right?
Somewhere in between would be good then, Peter, because I'm a sad guy. I like to see the support bands. I've seen some shit bands because I insist on seeing all the support. That's the way I'm made, okay? But the Barrowlands, the car story that I have for there was the night I went to see, and yes, it probably should have been on the You've Seen Who show, Jimmy Eat World, okay? If you remember Jimmy Eat World, Bleed American and all that kind of thing. There was 4 of us going to that show, but no. Some guy forgot he was going on holiday the next day, so he was like, oh no, the flight's at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't go to the show. And the next guy goes, wedding that night, shit. And the last guy goes, I'm going to see Fugazi that night. So I thought, I've got 4 tickets. I'll go through, I'll sell them, and I'll go see the band myself. There you go. So I went through, couldn't sell the tickets because it hadn't sold out. Queued to get in, missed the first
standing out front. Anybody need some tickets? Nope.
I mean, I started to approach the touts, and they were like, oh, mate, we can't sell what we've got. So, right, okay, fine. So I went to see Jimmy Eat World. It was another one there where I was basically as old as everybody's dad, because it was just kids that were there. And I was like, okay, so I'm here myself. It was shit. It was shit. It was that quiet that I was standing at the back. You could hear everybody talk, Yeah. And then I went outside and I thought, what do I smell? That smells like burning. What is? Then I walk up the front of the building, turn right to where my car is parked, literally 2 minutes from the front door of the venue. And here are the fire brigade. The fire brigade are dousing down cars. Okay. So I walk along the street and think, okay, that frame, that metal frame, that's what I drove through in. And I mean metal frame. There was no dashboard. There was no seats. There was no windows. Now, kids, what do the police tell you when you park your car? They tell you, don't leave any valuables in your car, don't they? Because that's sensible and that's safe. Nobody's going to break into your car if there's nothing to steal. That's true. That is true, because all of the people on the same street as me that had things to steal in their car, they had their windows broken and the things were stolen. All the people who had nothing to steal, well, these lovely gentlemen, and ladies, I presume, or not, set their cars on fire. So it wasn't just mine that had been set on fire. There was 3 that had been set on fire. But the other people, well, they lived in a place called Glasgow. I did not live in a place called Glasgow, okay? So I'm through there on my own, no friends, because they're at a wedding, going on holiday, and going to see a different band that they would prefer to see, even though we all agreed that we were going to see Jimmy Eat World. So I'm standing there on my own with a policeman who says, do you have any other way home, mate? Obviously not, because I drove through in that thing, didn't I?
Oh,
So the trains have all finished by this time, so I can't go home on a train. Do you know the buses? Not at that time of day in Scotland. Don't be stupid. So he says, well, do you want to sit in our car for a while? Not really, but okay, because I can't walk home. I'm not walking 65 miles home. Do you know, that's not a thing. So I got in the car, and 20 minutes later, they'd finished, I don't know, doing whatever they do when the cars have been set on fire. And he gets in the car, he says, you're not very angry. I said, well, did you do it? And he was like, no. I said, well, what's the fucking point shouting at you then? Right? I was like, it's done now. No point in getting angry. He says, well, any idea how you're going to get home? I said, well, I thought you might have some ideas of how I was going to get home.
Yeah, you just walked out of the venue to notice that your car is burnt to a crisp, right?
You know, I'm
help me out here.
surprised. He at least was aware that my car had been set on fire. So he said, well, I'll take you back to the station, because sometimes at night what we do is there's paperwork gets shipped about the country from, you know, case to case or whatever it may be. If there's anyone heading in your direction, they might be able to drop you off. And I thought, well, okay, we'll give it a go. So I went back to Parkhead police station. 2 hours later, they come through, well, no, mate, there's nobody going your way. Okay, so we're now at like 1 o'clock in the morning here. All right. And I'm sitting there, says, are you in the AA? And I was like, well, actually, I am. I'm in the AA. He says, well, we could give them a phone, see if they can come and give you a lift. And I thought, oh, why didn't I think of that? You know? So they phoned the AA. Now, they phoned the AA after they phoned my other half, okay, at 1 o'clock in the morning. And they wouldn't let me phone her because, and these are in the days before everyone carried a mobile phone, that's how far back we're going here. So they wouldn't let me behind the desk because that breaks protocol. So they phoned my partner at 1 o'clock in the morning. So he came back through and I said, what did she say? She went, well, she didn't seem very pleased. I said, well, what did you tell her? He says, I told her that you'd been at a gig tonight and that you were now at Parkhead police station. I said, and that's all you told her? I was like, well, I didn't want to worry about your car being set on fire. I said, so she now thinks I've been arrested. And he went, oh, shit. I said, do you want me to phone her back? I was like, no, it's done now, mate. Just leave it now. The damage is done, leave it there. So they phoned the AA. Another hour and a half later, the guy from the AA walks in, Mr. Reid, like this. I'm the only person there, right? Yes, that's me. He says, right, mate, where's your car? I was like, oh, I think you're here under false pretenses. I said, my car is like a shell outside the Barrowlands. I said, don't have a car. He went, oh, Mr. Reid, he says, I'm really sorry. We're the Automobile Association. If you've no car, we can't take you home. So we towed my wreck of a car from Glasgow with no windows and no seats and no dashboard all the way from the Barrowlands to my house. Right. So I got home at 3:30 in the morning, and being the careful and concerned citizen that I am, I thought I'd better phone the local constabulary and say to them, you know, that there is a burnt out car on the road just outside my house. I am aware, and it wasn't set on fire here, so there's no need to come and knock on my door or, you know, be worried or think that I'll be upset, because I'm already upset. I know it's happened. Okay, it happened a long time ago now. And the guy on the phone said to me, he says, where is it you live? And I told him my address. He says, now, would I be right in saying that's quite a hill? And I was like, well, yes. He says, so you're telling me that your car is parked on a hill with no windows and it's been on fire? I says, all right, okay, I'll get it moved. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, Green Flag Insurance came out and towed my car away. And the guy said to me, his opening gambit was, why didn't you let me know I'd have brought marshmallows?
I'm sure you laughed at that, right?
Oh, by that time I actually did, to be fair. So I'll never go and see Jimmy Eat World again. So there you go. That was not meant to be a story for
Not
tonight's
only
show.
did you get stuck with all the tickets, not only did you get stuck watching a shitty show, not only did you get Your car burnt to the ground. Not only did, hopefully your insurance paid for a lot of this, because that's
Yeah,
a
they
lot
did.
of money.
They did.
Okay, that's
They did.
good.
Yeah.
Not only did the policeman inform your wife or your partner, who thought you got arrested for doing some God knows what at the concert, right? Oh, what a disaster! What a disaster! So what time did you actually go to bed that night?
Oh, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning by the time I actually went to bed.
What an ordeal! Holy
and I'm doubtless I was working the next day as well, so I was probably up again at 8. So there you go. Yes, so that's and I have other car-related stories for different shows. That's not the only one. There are other ones too. These are the joys of not having the ability to see many shows that are local.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we may have to do additional episodes of this, because that is crap. I will never think of Jimmy Eat World again.
I've never actually actively listened to them since. I have heard their music.
So you should have known better from the get-go then, right?
I quite like the Bleed American album. I mean, I was going out of choice. It wasn't top gig of the year sort of thing, but there was 4 of us going. It wasn't. There was 4 of us going. And I thought, good night out.
Things you wish you could
night
take
out. What's the worst that can happen?
That's the worst that can happen. I'll go by myself. I'll stay for a little bit and I'll go home. Yeah. Nope. That's not happening. Oh my God. All right, Simon, take us out this episode with some more of your
I know you've got places to be. I've got things to say. I'm just saying. I would point out that you were saying that Jimmy World should be in the You Saw Who. Well, when we get around to about 2001, oh boy, are we going to hear a lot of pop punk coming out of your Uncle Simon's mouth? Yes, yes, we are. And I'm fairly confident, just very, very quickly, that it was when we went to see Some 38, that my car got broken into outside Manchester Arena, the one which is now the AO Arena. Nope.
Let's go. No, I hope
somebody were doing AO, but anyway, you didn't.
Okay, I thought let's go, because they actually spoiled the Ramones song with that advert, didn't they?
Pete loves the Ramones.
I do.
Big fan. Anyhow, yeah, my car got broken into outside, and do you know what? It didn't get set on fire. But the really disappointing thing is, they didn't steal any of my CDs. How shit is my taste? They just smashed the windows for shits and giggles, as far as I can see. Yeah. Could have like Rammstein. What you got?
What does this asshole listen to, man? It's not even worth stealing.
Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Anyhow, yeah, I'm just going to go through some things. They're all relatively obvious, but just deeply annoying at gigs. Tall people can fuck off right now, because I'm really short. But you don't notice the tall people always move to the front?
Yeah.
Fuckers. Let's hope they die. Yeah, just before lockdown, I call it as I see it. Just before lockdown, 2 days before, I think it was 2 days before the first lockdown in the UK, me and my good friend, my other friend Stephen, not you, other Stephen, as you will now be referred to, we went to Halifax in Yorkshire. We crossed over into the dark side, and we went to the Lantern in Halifax, which is basically a pub. So there's none of this like raked floors of shit like that. We went to see Anvil, and let's just say that it was relatively full, but it only holds about 8 people, but it was absolutely rammed. It would be fair to say that I did not see the band at all.
Okay.
Fuckers. There was no venture point that from which I could see a goddamn thing. Yeah, people who sing along badly. Haven't come to see you, my friend. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, is it not worse when they just talk though?
Yeah, that's just as bad. Take that.
People that have paid, as you say, Peter, tickets are not cheap.
No.
They are not cheap. They're extortionate now. And somehow there are people out there that are willing to pay 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds to not see a band and just be like this all night. Yeah. Shut up. Stop it.
What's even worse, and I don't even know where my phone is, I'm charged. The people who sit there the entire night recording the phone and they're not even watching. They're just sitting there because they're never watching that video ever. Right?
No.
Yeah. And it will sound like shit when they play it back.
Yes, I always want to say to them, and I've said this on the show before, see these people here, they're just fucking there. They're there. That's where they are.
Yes.
You can see them for real. They're actually there.
Yes.
You can actually zoom in with your own eyes, motherfucker.
Yes.
You can actually go, look at that.
You have them. That's why you have these things, right? Use them. And
that's even worse than
equally annoying, kind of along the same lines with the cell phones, is these people who are our age who insist on taking their kids to concerts that they like, not the kids like, and then the kids will sit there the entire concert. And like, why are they here? Why did you bring them? And the parents are like, yeah, this is great. And they're not even paying attention to their kids who are just sitting there.
That's because they have no friends, Peter, so they can't get babysitters. These people have no friends.
I mean, the price you just paid to have your kids sit there and go, you could have got them a babysitter, right? Or whatever. Absolutely. Most cases, they're older, they're too old to be having babysitters. Leave them home, please.
I've got around that by having children that are 34 and 28, so well done me. Good decision. I'll tell you what is worse than people with phones. Two things. People that bring tablets and film it on tablets. Really? What have I got? Oh, God, got to have my car keys. Yeah, check. Got the tickets. Yeah. iPad? What? What an absolute bunch of gimps. What? Just why? Why? I absolutely ask you. And why are they always in front of me? Why is that?
I feel like at gigs as well. Why is it always the person in front of me that wants to talk or has a backpack on? That's a new thing. Rucksacks and backpacks, and they dance like this all night. And you're like behind them. You're like, what is so important in that? Did you bring your house?
Or when you go to a seated venue, right? And like literally like 2 seconds after the band starts, the tall guy in front of you or whatever stands up and he doesn't sit down for the entire show. And no matter, even if you decide to stand up, you the whole night you're like, oh, it's the worst. And the dancers, right? The one, oh my God, please sit the fuck down. Stop dancing. You want to dance, you should be down on the floor. They go, especially bad in an arena, where they're all the way up in the nosebleed seats and they want to dance in their seat or in the aisle. I'm like, get a floor seat. Oh, they don't want to spend the money for the floor seat though. They want to be able to dance wherever they are, right? Oh,
that's because they have to pay for parking as well, Peter.
Of course, because $50 on parking. Yes, always goes back to the parking. Damn it. Ugh.
Back to phones. Do you know what else fucks me off about people with their foot? Thank you. And it's usually always lads. Group of lads. They've had a few bevies. They've got their phones, and at some point they'll think, "All right, they're playing the hit." You know, we've got to rush down as close to the front as we get, turn our backs on the band, and make this face. Do not make that the pit. They do not know. No, Peter. No, don't do that. Don't know. But you know.
I did tell you, but I think it was maybe in the prog seat. I went to see the Pineapple Thief, and they play some, quiet, plaintive, emotive music. Yeah, and at the Glasgow much missed ABC 2, there was a woman who had been down the front the whole show and spoken through the whole thing, all of it. And Bruce Seward is in the moment. He's bringing it down low. The whole place is thinking, this is fantastic. Not her. She's going like this with her phone, taking a picture of her with him in the background. And you could just see him going, the fuck are you doing? And he's trying not to ruin it for everybody else whilst looking at her going, could you not just, for example, cease to exist?
And you try to ignore those people as much as you can, but sometimes it's impossible, right?
I mean, that was a small venue. Everybody in that room could see her. I mean, she was actually climbing on the bit at the front. She was in the spotlight.
Getting angrier by the second. Oh Lord.
I have more.
Okay, go for it.
Encores. What are they all about in 2022? Why?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
you're not gonna Jenny, you're not gonna fuck off. Fair play, don't stop leaving. Don't leave the stage and come back on. Stop it. Last week, more of this very shortly. I went to see Romeo's daughter. They left the stage, right? And we could all see them behind the column. Having a little chat with each other, all 78 of us that were in the venue. And then they came back on. Wow, because who would have thought they wouldn't possibly have played Wild Child? Yeah, no, not a clue. I know you've mentioned Ticketmaster before, but paying to print off your own tickets.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
No. And the tickets are shit these days.
Right. We live in an environmentally, world that we're on the precipice of, burning the whole planet down here.
Yeah.
It used to be if you want a ticket, they give you this. No. Now you get an A4 sheet of paper for you to tear out precariously. Don't take the stub off because that'll invalidate your ticket. It tells you that on the damn thing. Just give me the ticket. I don't need a whole A4 bit of paper. Just give me the ticket.
Where they can beat the goddamn QR code, which is the smallest thing on the A4 ticket.
Yeah. Yes, the only bit they want is this. They want the barcode. They don't care about any of the rest of it. Well, not at the garage, because the security there just go,
Yeah, excellent. People who shout out song suggestions, it's fucking hilarious. Cliff Freebird, yeah, hilarious. Really.
If I hear the words "Cortez the Killer" one more time in my life, and I love that song. I was so glad that Neil Young did not fucking play that song.
Imagine what he must be thinking. He's listening to it, he goes, yeah, that's not happening tonight, asshole.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He's going to do whatever anyhow, isn't he?
Yeah.
People on shoulders. No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, stop it. Don't like it, especially as I'm really short. But fortunately, I never stand in the middle, so they don't really affect me. But I can imagine.
Oh, okay.
They're the only ones having a huge, fun time.
Standing in the middle. There's another thing I've written down. You don't get it a lot, but there are some well-trained, sound people out there who have this idea that because they're right slap bang in the middle at the back, that everybody has the benefit of being in the perfect position in the venue. So if you happen to have two guitarists on stage, they go, well, I think I'll feed the guy on the left of the stage to the left speaker and the guy on the right to the right speaker, like I would if I was mixing their mega selling album. Mate, I'm standing over there. I'm over on the right hand side. I can't hear this guy anymore. I paid to hear the whole of them. There's 5 or 6 of them up there. I didn't pay to hear the guy that's there. I wanted to hear all of them. Let me hear all of them.
Yep.
Oh, I know
It's happened to me plenty of times.
Excellent. Nearly done. People who vape at concerts should all be shot. Yeah. Firstly, and somewhat arseholishly, it's against the law, so why is security not going in with a hail of bullets? Why?
Because I don't think it technically is. That's before somebody puts that in the thing down here. I don't think it technically is.
It's somebody's workplace, isn't it? You can't vape in someone's workplace.
Oh, well, okay. I take that back. I stand to it.
Workplace, isn't it? Definitely.
I moan corrected.
Why? Are you that addicted that you need to do it in a small space? Usually, and I think you know where I'm going with this one, right in front of me. So it goes right up my nostrils. Yeah, don't like it. Finally, the arguably the most irritating thing about concerts is me. As I have got older, I get more and more distressed and annoyed at the smallest, tiny little things. But this is the thing that we were talking about last week. So I went to see Romeo's daughter in the Waterloo in Blackpool. Sunny Blackpool, drove to Blackpool, noticed on the tickets, 8 p.m. kickoff. There I was at 8 p.m. Fantastic, ready to go. Come on, Support Act. Okay, I'm driving. So, and actually, somebody corrected me the other week in the comments. I can 100% confirm that I did have a pint of Motorhead's Overkill in Blackpool. I know I did, because I recorded it on my app. I took a picture of it. So there is a Motorhead beer called Overkill, just saying. Anyhow, it's supposed to be coming out at 8 o'clock. And eventually I had a little wander around because there's not many people there, not much today. Holy shit, the Sport Acts aren't coming on till 9:15. Oh, and they're going to play an hour. Oh shit. And Romeo's Daughter aren't coming. They're not coming on till 10:15.
That's 15 minutes after curfew, Simon. That's 15 minutes. Excuse me, can you get out of here, please? I'm sorry, the show's finished. I'm sorry, we'll have to close the merch now. The show's finished.
10 is way past sleepy bedtime. Way past at my age, you know what I mean?
Who was the support that deserved the hour?
They were really good. Sweet Crisis. Sweet Crisis. Really,
sorry,
really
you did mention them before.
It was very, very good. Look them up, people. Really good. Pretty funky, pretty bluesy. Really good. And they fully deserved their time. They were excellent. But quarter past 10. Yeah, and I know that the Waterloo's really a pub and they need to make money, but Jesus. And not only did Romeo's Daughter not play, the whole hour and a half, by my watch, they played an hour and 31 minutes. 23:46 when they went off. And then I had to drive home.
I can see why you're still upset, Simon.
Yeah. So, as Pete said, as you're getting old, you don't want to be standing up for that long.
No.
You certainly don't want to be rocking at 23:46. Oh my God, no! Just.
I mean, why this is so funny for me, because this almost exactly happened to me last week. I went to see Wishbone Ash, right, and they were playing and about an hour and 20 minutes away from me. That's a little, and I was going by myself. I met Eric Porter up there, but I was driving by myself, and I don't do well driving at night anymore because I get very tired when I'm driving. So I was like, all right. So like 2 days before I called up the venue, I'm like, yeah, I'm just calling to inquire about the Wishbone Ash show Wednesday night. You know what time it's going to start? What time it's supposed to end? And because I'm thinking, my kids live in the 2 towns over, so I could stay over there. But then I had work meetings in the morning. So I'm like, it's kind of a slippery slope here. So the lady who I talked to, she's like, yes. So Wishbone Ash is scheduled to go on at 7:30 on the dot. Give or take a minute or two. There's no opening act. And according to what I have here, they're only supposed to play 90 minutes plus 1 encore. So it should be done about 9:05 or so. And I was like, yes. So I'm calculating. I'm like, all right, so 9:05 should be done. Take me 5-10 minutes tops, say goodbye to Eric tops to get back to my car, get in the car, get on the road. I should be home by 10:30, 10:40. That's okay. So I'm telling my wife, I'm detailing all this to her. I'm like, I should be back here safe and sound, ready to get in bed by 10:40. So then, we're at the venue and I'm like, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, all right. So it's like literally like 7:29. And all of a sudden I see Andy Powell and the guys starting to walk out on stage. I'm like, yes, everything is going according to plan. They played, but wait a second. All of a sudden it's like 5 to 9, 10 to 9, and they haven't played Phoenix yet. And Andy gets up to the mic. He's doing a lot of talking and he's like, so we're going to play our big epic now. So we've been playing this song since 1969. We're going to give a go at it for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm panicking because I'm like, oh shit. Am I going to have to call up my son and my daughter-in-law and say, guys, I might have to stay tonight because the show is going to end 10 minutes later than I anticipated. And I am fretting about this. So thankfully, they got done with Phoenix at about 9:10. They, of course, left the stage, came back out real quick, played Blowin' Free, which is only like 3.5 minutes long. And they were done by like 9:22. So I'm like, I literally look back at Eric like 5 rows behind me. I'm like, see you later. I'm out of there. I briefly said goodbye to him. And I ran to the elevator, got in my car. I got home about 10 to 11. So not that much later than I thought. But man, I was sweating it. I had fucking holds. I tell you, I don't know when this happened.
Well, And that's it. I mean, I don't know what we're going to call this episode, but it really should be called Rant. We got old. That's what it should be called, because let's be honest, that's what this entire episode has kind of been about. Because the last couple that I've got, it's really been churlish now. Okay, well, there's one. Is when bands play venues that kind of go, rock music? What's that then? Never heard of that before. Do you know, I wonder if that's any good. Do you know, so when like the Wild Hearts, the first show that I saw after lockdown, played not the Royal Albert Hall, but the Albert Halls in Stirling, not quite the same. They're similar. It's a lovely venue. It is a really nice venue. Never been there in my life before. Lovely place. They've never put a rock band on before. It was upscaled from the toll booth, which is literally about the size of this ticket. Do you know, it was never going to be big enough. It was upscaled to a place that was way too big. You know, there was a few hundred people there, and it just felt like there was nobody there at all. And the Wild Hearts need energy, they need atmosphere. They don't need somebody standing in the middle of the hall looking at the seated bit at the top and going, 2 folk up there, and sending staff to remove them from the seats upstairs when they were just sitting there going, they weren't breaking anything, you know, they weren't pissing in the corner. There was nothing, you know, they weren't even canoodling, Simon. They weren't even canoodling.
Not even that level of effort.
No, they were actually going, there's the Wild Hearts over there. I may be slightly old. I'll have a seat. Oh, no. Get out the seats, get out the seats. Come and stand down here where there's nobody else. And the other one was more local to me in the Perth Concert Hall. Another nice venue. Seen lots of nice shows there. You don't see many rock bands there, but those mothers from hell, Asia, they played there, right? Okay, so we're still quite tame. It's still quite tame. And Asia, I mean, they're not all with us now. Asia are older gentlemen. I mean, there's not many bands that I go see that make me look young. That's maybe a lie these days, but okay. So, you know, they play a show in 2 halves because they don't want to play for 3 hours solid, but they played for 3 hours in around it if you add in encores and all that sort of stuff. They need a little interval in the middle to go and have a seat, you know, and, you know, compose themselves, change their shirt, all that kind of thing. So they come out for the second half, which is a bizarre concept in itself, but they come out for the second half of the show. Okay, you know, we've built up all this atmosphere. Let's go have a seat for 15 minutes, right? It's a bizarre concept for a rock show. And the people in the Perth Concert Hall had kind of gone, well, but not everybody's back in and sitting down. So they left the hall lights on. The band are back out on stage because they had already, you were kind of sitting going, this has gone on a little bit. You know, this little interval's gone on a little bit. It was maybe 15 minutes. It's now 20 minutes. It's now 25 minutes. It's now,
yeah.
I think they've gone to the next venue for tomorrow's show. That's how long we sat there before the band just came back on stage with the lights on. And the 4 of them looked at each other and went, what the fuck is going on here? Why? What's happening? And people milling about, having a pint and still coming in and still going out because the lights are on. You know, there's no show, there's lights. The band are on the stage. They're over there. So Carol Palmer actually went, fuck this. And the show just started again with the hall lights on, staff going, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And we were halfway through the next song before somebody went, make it dark. Asia are one of the very few bands I've ever seen with the lights on.
Yeah, you don't see that at all. That's weird.
You do not see that. It was very weird. They were great, by the way, but it was very weird. So yes, that's a bit churlish, but that's the last of my, why do we do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to call this one. Obviously, when you guys are all watching it, it will have a title, but this is a rant about, I guess, shitty concert experiences, right? I guess. Sort of.
Not always, though. Not
always.
We're good.
We're too old to go see concerts anymore. Maybe that's what we should call this damn thing, right?
Well, that's when you die.
Yeah, well, yes. And the thing, I mean, I've got loads lined up in the next couple of months because everything has been rescheduled for tomorrow.
I know. Yeah. I think what we need is we want to call the shots. We want to pick the bands, the start times, the set list, the parking, everything. And only us from the audience, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Get my nice comfy chair. All right, play, Mr. Bands.
I'm sold on that idea.
Cool. Right.
I'm absolutely sold on that idea.
I like that, right? I think we could do that. Oh boy.
Excellent.
It's not going to get any easier going forward, guys. So upcoming next week here on the UK Connection, what you've all been waiting for, what you've all have asked for, Iron Maiden, favorite and least favorite albums, and of course the wild card. I think people really like the wild card idea, Steven, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Just in advance, I can't think of anything funny to say about Iron Maiden.
None?
Well, that's fine. We can't.
Just in advance. I'm sorry.
Lots and lots. I don't believe you, Simon. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I think there's got to be a Blaze joke somewhere out there. There's got to be a whittly joke. Nothing? No. All right, we'll see. I don't believe you either.
You've already spotted that the Blaze albums will be the top 2 best ones. So
I'm going to open the show
with my jokes
gone. Okay, so therefore the show will be roughly 4 hours long next week.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Bring lots of props. Lots of props. So Simon, that means we're gonna have to see those ticket stubs, right? You have a week to go into the man cave and find them.
Pressure's on.
I'll try. I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's the attempt. I appreciate the attempt. So that's all you can do, right? So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time.
All together, the damn time.
That's
all
right.
together.
That's right. To make this somewhat interactive, why don't you, everybody watching, put down in the comments some crazy concert stories and things that pissed you off in your concert going career. So we're all kind of sharing here. That's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, everybody. For Steven Reid and Simon Bray, I am Pete Pardo. See you next Saturday here on the UK Connection. Cheers.